Hi, so today I'm going to be talking very briefly about how to manage and allocate forage when the quality is variable. So for me, there are three main reasons why forage quality can be variable. One of them is going to be due to the fermentation characteristics. The second one is going to be due to the presence of mycotoxins. And the third one, of course, is going to be due to the actual quality of the forage, which is going to be dictated by the season and the time of harvest and also the weather. Okay, so if we have forage which is poorly fermented and has high levels of butyric acid, and this usually occurs in grasses and alfalfa silages, need to ensure don't feed high levels of these silages to dry or early lactation animals, because this can increase the risk of ketosis. So if we have to feed this type of silage, important that we try to dilute it as much as we can with other forages in order to reduce the content of butyric acid. If we have mycotoxins present in the forage, then inevitably we will have to include a mycotoxin binder in the diet. As you all well know, mycotoxins can cause problems such as lameness, higher somatic cell counts, and abortions. So again, I would keep these silages away from pregnant animals, animals which we are breeding, and of course animals in early lactation where the risk of elevated somatic cell counts is higher. Of course, with prevention is better than having to deal with the problem during the feeding period. So good agronomy and management of the crop in the field and during harvest can reduce the risk of having mycotoxins in the forage. And then, of course, we come to one of the probably the biggest problems is when we have forages with poor nutrient levels due to the time of harvest, due to the weather, or due to other implications. So one of the first three things we need to bear in mind, that if we have forage which is of poorer quality, then we are going to have to feed higher levels of concentrates in order to try to maintain animal performance levels. With poorer quality forages, of course, they contain more fiber, and then this will mean that we're going to feed less of them, so we're going to feed a higher level of concentrate and a lower percentage of forage in the diet. Other ways, of course, to compensate for forages of poor quality and high fiber content is to reduce the level of things like straw and hay in the diet. The most important thing is that we meet the fiber requirements of the rumen, and this can easily be done when the forage quality is poor and the fiber level is high, without the need to feed hay or straw. Okay, so how do we allocate forages which are of poor quality? Okay, and for me, there's three options. So the highest quality forage on the farm needs to be fed to the highest performing animals. And of course, these are your early lactation and high production cows. Forages which are low in quality can, of course, provided they don't contain mycotoxins or butyric, they can quite safely be fed to dry cows, of course, because we're trying to control the energy intake in dry cows. These silages can quite easily be fed to those animals. One of the other options, of course, is just to continue to feed these poorer quality forages, but feed less of them and increase the concentrate level. But one of the problems we see with high fiber, poorer quality forages is that even with the extra concentrate, it's very difficult to maintain the level of milk production that we see animals achieve on high quality forages. But of course, it all depends about how much of this poor quality forage you actually have on the dairy. But just bear in mind that you are going to have to feed more concentrate. The other way to manage or to utilize poorer quality forages is, of course, to blend them in with the better quality silages on the dairy. So what I recommend is that you do a full inventory of the forages you have in terms of tonnages and in terms of the quality of forages you have, and then you create a plan to incorporate these poor quality forages over time into the diets of all the animals on the dairy. Okay, so just a few points really on how to formulate diets when we have poor quality forage. And one of the most important, three of the most important things is that we understand the properties of the, so we need a good analysis. So the rumen requires digestible fiber. Poorer quality forages are high in undigestible fiber. So when we have these forages going in to the diet, we need to ensure that there's sufficient digestible fiber. So things like sugar beet, shreds, or soy hulls, things like this will provide a digestible fiber in order to stimulate the rumen bacteria. The other thing to remember, of course, is that these very indigestible forages may have a slower passage rate. They may also increase rumen fill, and therefore we need to feed less. Okay, so one of the important factors to look at, of course, is the level of NDF in the diet. Okay, so trying to control the level when we have these poor quality forages is only possible by reducing the level of feeding. In terms of fermentation in the rumen, these forages tend to have less fermentable energy. So again, it's important that we reduce the amount of these silages in the diet and introduce more dietary fermentable carbohydrate, which is going to help to stimulate the rumen bacteria. And in fact, when you stimulate the rumen bacteria with more fermentable energy, then actually this will help the digestion of these poorer quality forages. And same goes for protein. A lot of the protein in these forages will be bound up with fiber, but also, of course, these forages tend to be lower in protein. So it's important that we provide enough soluble protein in the rumen, in order to stimulate the rumen bacteria and improve digestion and boost production. Okay, so there's my take on how to allocate and manage poor quality forages. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, please address them to the Simpro team in Russia, and I'm sure they will pass them on to me, and I can try to answer them the best I can. Thank you very much for listening.